Last class we have discussed about the Mohr-Coulomb strength theory, which is explaining the shear strength of the soil as shear strength S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi, where C is the coefficient, sigma normal stress, phi is angle of shearing distance. Okay. Now in today's lecture we are studying different tests for calculating shear strength of the soil. And there are mainly four tests in order to find the shear strength. They are direct shear test, triaxial compression test, unconfined compression test, and vane shear test. First three tests, that is direct shear test, triaxial compression test, and unconfined compression test, is conducted in the laboratory. These are laboratory experiments. And the last one, vane shear test, is field test. Next is in shear test. In all the shear tests there are two stages, that is the shear test is conducted in two stages. First stage is consolidation stage and second stage is shear stage. In consolidation stage we are applying normal stress or confining pressure, and we are applying this normal stress in order to consolidate the soil. Consolidation means expulsion of water from the voids. So in order to expel water from the soil voids we are applying normal stress during the consolidation stage. Okay. Second stage is shear stage. During this shear stage we are applying shear stress, and this shear stress is also known as deviated stress. The shear stress is applied and the failure of the or shear failure of the specimen will occur during the shear stage. So the shear test is contains two stages. They are consolidation stage and shear stage. During consolidation stage we are applying normal stress, and during shear stage we are applying shear stress. Next is the classification of shear test based on drainage condition. There are three types of drainage condition. First one is unconsolidated undrained condition, second one consolidated undrained condition, third one consolidated drained condition. I have told that the shear test is conducted in two stages, that is consolidation stage and shear stage. In first type, that is unconsolidated undrained condition, during consolidation stage no drainage is allowed, and during shear stage also no drainage is allowed. That is unconsolidated undrained condition. It is known as UU test. Okay. In second type, consolidated undrained condition, the drainage is allowed during the first stage, that is in consolidation stage drainage is allowed, and in second stage, that is in shear stage, no drainage is allowed, that is undrained. And in third one, consolidated drainage condition, here in both the stages, that is in consolidation stage and in shear stage, drainage is permitted. Okay. And the first type of shear test, that is unconsolidated undrained test, is known as UU test. Since the drainage is not allowed in both the stages, we can conduct this experiment very quickly. So this is known as Q test, that is quick test. Since drainage is not allowed in both the stages, we can conduct it fastly, so it is known as quick test or Q test. And the third one, in consolidated drained or CD test, drainage is permitted in both the stages, so the test will be completing slowly, so it is known as slow test. And the second one, CU test, consolidated undrained condition, will the time will be in between UU test and CD test. So in between Q and S, what is the letter R? So the name R test came. So there is no other word meaning for this R. Since it is in between Q test and S test, it is termed as R test. This is the classification of shear test based on drainage condition as UU test, CU test, and CD test. So every shear experiment we can conduct it in any of the three conditions. It can be conducted as UU test, can be conducted as CU test, and can be conducted as CD test. Next, in today's lecture we are covering direct shear test, and direct shear test is quick test and it is very cheap or inexpensive, and it is used to determine the shear strength of both cohesive soil as well as non-cohesive soil or coastal soil. And the test equipment consists of a metal box. There will be a metal box, and this metal box is split horizontally in two halves. It is split horizontally in two halves, and we are putting or we are filling the soil inside this metal box, and the vertical force or normal stress is applied through the metal plate. Through this direction we are applying vertical force or normal stress, and the shear force is applied in horizontal direction. In this direction we are applying shear force. It is applied by moving one half of the box relative to the other to cause failure of the soil specimen. Okay. And there are two arrangements, that is proving ring and dial gauge. Proving ring is fitted in order to measure the shear force, and dial gauge is fitted in order to measure the shear displacement. Okay. That is, we are applying normal stress through this direction and shear stress through this direction, and proving ring is provided to measure the shear force, and dial gauge is provided to measure the shear displacement. And this is the experimental setup. This figure is from Aurora textbook. So sample is filled in this shear box, direct shear box. Porous stone is provided since drainage is allowed, and normal stress is applied through this direction, and horizontal force is applied through this direction. This is proving ring. Proving ring is provided to measure the shear force. Okay. First one is specimen preparation. For that, we are filling the shear box with the soil. Soil is leveled, and then the two plates are screwed through some arrangement. The shear box is split along the horizontal direction, and these two are connected by screws. This is the soil specimen preparation. And in first stage, we are applying vertical load or normal stress in order to consolidate the specimen. Okay, so usually we are applying a normal load of 25 kilonewton per meter square, and wait for consolidation. This is the first step. And in second stage, we are applying shear load at a constant rate of strain. That is, we are applying the horizontal force at constant rate of strain, and during this period sample shears along the horizontal plane, shears along this horizontal plane between the two halves. At that time we are taking the reading of proving ring and dial gauge at every 30 seconds. At around every 30 seconds we are measuring proving ring. From proving ring we will get shear force, and from dial gauge we will be getting shear displacement. Okay, and the test is continued till the specimen fails, and during the failure we will note the corresponding shear force value, and shear stress is obtained as shear force divided by area of the specimen. Okay, so for particular value of normal stress we are obtaining corresponding shear stress value. Okay, then the test is repeated at different values of normal stress, and corresponding shear stress is measured. Okay, for initially we have applied 25 kilonewton per meter square normal load. Then in second experiment we are increasing the normal stress, and the test is conducted till the specimen fails, and the corresponding shear force is noted from proving ring, and shear stress is obtained. So there will be different values of normal stress, and corresponding shear stress will be obtaining. This is the test result of direct shear test. Next, this is the experimental setup in the laboratory. There will be shear box and dial gauge. There will be two dial gauge. One dial gauge is fitted to measure the vertical displacement, and the second one is fitted to measure the horizontal displacement. And proving ring is attached here to measure the shear force, and vertical load is provided through the loading frame. Through this loading frame we are applying the vertical load. Next, calculation. This is the equation of Mohr-Coulomb. Okay, that is tau F, shear stress at failure. It is equal to shear strength, that is S. S is equal to this, tau F is equal to S, that is introduced by Mohr. Okay, that is tau F, shear stress at failure, is equal to shear strength, which is equal to C plus sigma tan phi, and normal stress is equal to normal force by cross section area of the sample, and shear stress is equal to shear force divided by cross section area of the sample. Shear force is obtained from proving ring. Okay, but as the test is going on, the cross section area of the sample will change. So we have to find the corrected cross section area as AC is equal to A naught minus B into delta H. A naught is the original area, B is the width, delta H is the sample deformation. Sample deformation is obtained through dial gauge. Okay, so when we are measuring this shear stress at any time, the area should be the corrected area, that is area at that time. When the experiment is going on, area also will change. So we have to find out the corrected area. Next, by conducting direct shear test, we will be getting different values of normal stress, and for each value of normal stress we are getting shear stress. So we can plot one graph between shear stress along y-axis and normal stress along x-axis, and for different values, if we are conducting five experiments, we will be obtaining 5 points, and if we are conducting 3 tests, we will be obtaining 3 points, and by connecting these points we'll be getting a straight line. That straight line is known as Mohr-Coulomb failure envelope, and its inclination with horizontal is the phi angular shear resistance, and y-intercept is c. And in last lecture we have discussed a problem, and that problem is the result of direct shear test. So you just go through the problem, then it will be clear. That is, in direct shear test we are getting shear stress and corresponding normal stress. So from that we can plot Mohr-Coulomb failure envelope, and from this we can get the shear strength parameters like c and phi. This graph shows the variation of stress and strain. Shear displacement means strain. So stress strain graph that you know. Next is stress strain relationship. This first figure shows the variation of shear stress with shear displacement, that is stress and strain. For the loose sand and dense sand, variation is different. In the case of dense sand, for lower values of strain itself, the stress value increases to a peak value, then the stress becomes constant. Okay, but in the case of loose sand, the variation is gradually varying stress with respect to strain. This is the stress strain relationship for dense sand and loose sand. And this graph shows the variation of change in height, that is variation of volume with respect to strain. In the case of dense sand, this is the plot for dense sand. In the case of dense sand, the volume first decrease slightly but increase with the further increase in strain. Okay, in the case of dense sand, volume first decreases slightly and then it increases with the strain value. But in the case of loose sand, the volume decreases with increase in shear strain. Okay, this is the variation of change in height or change in volume with respect to strain. In the case of dense sand, volume initially decreases then increases, but in the case of loose sand, volume decreases with increase in strain. This is the stress strain relationship. Next, direct shear test on clay. If you're conducting the direct shear test on clay, the rate of the experiment will be very slow. That is, it will take several days to finish the experiment. So usually we are not conducting this on clay. We are conducting this for sand only, direct shear test. And this is the failure envelope obtained for clay. And next is advantages and disadvantages of direct shear test. Advantage, as I told, the test is very simple, cheap, and it is quick test. The experimental setup is very cheap. Second advantage is indifferent strength parameters, that is, by this experiment we can find out the strength parameters like c and phi uh, by drawing a failure envelope. Okay, and these are the advantage. Then disadvantage is failure occurs along the predetermined failure plane. That is, here the failure plane is already determined, that is a horizontal plane. We are fixing the failure plane and it may not be the weakest plane, so the soil is not free to fail at its own failure plane. We are fixing the failure plane. That is one of the main disadvantage, and that failure plane may not be the weakest plane. Then second one is, as the test progress, the area is also changing, that I have told. In as the test is going on, area will be changing, so the value will not be correct value. And the third one is, the shear stress is not uniform, shear stress distribution is non-uniform. And last one is, as I told, this cannot be conducted on clay because it takes several days. Usually this is used for granular soils only. Okay, so now I am ending the lecture. Up to this we have discussed about the direct shear test. So you just go through the Aurora textbook and read the procedure, principle, experimental test result. Okay, thank you.